been constantly ridiculed for their tanking activities. Come with it, Portland. Be ready to show out against the Utah Jazz. Welcome into Blazers Game Day. I'm your host, Chris Burkhardt. If you would like to join the conversation with us today, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. You can also go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, join the chat there with us. And last but certainly not least, hit us up on the text line. 88528 is the text line number. Blazers taking on Utah today, the second of a back-to-back, the last game before All-Star Weekend, which will see quite a few Blazers down in Los Angeles. You'll have Young Hansen and Donovan Clingan in the Rising Stars game. You'll have Damian Lillard in the three-point contest, shocking the world. And then you'll have Denny Avdia on All-Star Game action, which will be pretty awesome to see his first All-Star Game appearance. So the Blazers will be all over All-Star Weekend. But to get there, you got to get through a Utah Jazz team that is one of the worst teams in the Western Conference, and a team that made some moves at the deadline, brought in Jaren Jackson Jr., played him for 3 games, and now he's having knee surgery to remove a tumor that was growing in his knee. And yeah, he's done. He's not playing tonight. Looks like the reports out of Utah, too, are how come they played him? And I guess Jaren Jackson Jr. really wanted to get a home game under his belt before he sat out the rest of the way. He wasn't going to do any more damage to his knee playing 3 games, but now he has to go get surgery to get that tumor removed. Hopefully has a speedy recovery because Jaren Jackson Jr. is awesome. But now no Jaren Jackson Jr., no Lauri Markkanen, no Keontae George. The Utah Jazz still will look to get a W against the Trailblazers tonight. The Blazers, one of just 3 games going on tonight. The Mavericks take on the Lakers, tip off at 7, and then you have the Bucks taking on the Thunder, tip off in about a half hour's time. Now that Utah Jazz team, as I said, one of the worst teams in the Western Conference. They're 18-37 on the year. Yes, they have won 2 in a row, but one of those wins was against the Sacramento Kings, who have now lost 14 games in a row. Utah's 3-7 over their last 10. But you know what? Portland is also 3-7 over their last 10. They had a 6-game losing streak, a 3-game winning streak, and then they lost last night in a rough one. It was not pretty, as the Timberwolves really kind of led this thing wire to wire. They led 32-26 after the first quarter. They outscored the Blazers 29-25 in the second, outscored them in the third, outscored them in the fourth. They just ran away with it. They could not be stopped offensively, and defensively, all they did was stop the Trailblazers. The Trailblazers ended up turning the ball over 26 times, which tied them for their season high mark. Not a good thing. And points off turnovers were absolutely terrible for your Trailblazers. Minnesota, 43 points off turnovers. Portland managed just 16 points off turnovers. That by itself is a 27-point swing. That is enough for you to get out and have a big lead. They also were able to hit their three-pointers with efficiency. They shot 41%. But at the free throw line is where they really did some damage as well. The Minnesota Timberwolves made 29 free throws. Portland made just 13. So when you have a 27-point advantage in points off turnovers, and you have that advantage in the free throw margin, of course, some of those free throws are, points off turnovers. You get the turnover, you go down, you get fouled. The idea is you're going to have a lead, and it's going to be hard for the other team to come back from that, especially when they are turning the ball over at such a high clip. 26 of them for your Trailblazers. Drew Holiday had 6 turnovers, 5 turnovers from Denny Avdia, also 5 turnovers from Scoot Henderson. We have talked a lot about having your guards back. That is beneficial. That is nice. But they did combine for 16 of the 26 turnovers. That needs to be fixed tonight as they go into Utah. Because, again, you don't want to lose to a team that is struggling and has fully entered tank mode. And obviously Walker Kessler out because he's had the injury earlier in the year and he won't return. And Lauri Markkanen's going to be out in this one. Keontae George is going to be out. That's 2 of their best players. And they don't have Jaren Jackson Jr. either, who is a stud. Portland should take advantage of that. Now, taking a look at the individual box score in this game against Minnesota. Jaden McDaniels had 21 points. Rudy Gobert had 17 points and 8 rebounds. 14 points from Anthony Edwards, who was a game-time decision. He was feeling a little under the weather, but the Blazers still had to deal with him. He was quiet, though, because he didn't need to go crazy. Julius Randle, 41 points in this game. And if you go back to the season opener against Minnesota, Anthony Edwards dropped 41 points in that game. That means in 2 games against Minnesota, their star players, just one guy in each game, have combined for 82 points. Each one of them dropped 41 on Portland. That hurts. Julius Randle looked like, prime Charles Barkley mixed with prime Shaq, mixed with prime Hakeem, mixed with prime Wilt, mixed with prime Tim Duncan. Like, he looked unstoppable. You're watching him last night going, MVP. Yes, that's an exaggeration, but that's how good he looked. He was phenomenal. Blazers couldn't stop him. He got out in space, hit a couple threes, and defensively, he got a steal. He was trying to block shots, didn't get a block shot registered, but defensively, he was affecting shots. In fact, leading to some of those turnovers that the team was, forcing upon them. Like, it was just an all-around good night from Minnesota. Rudy Gobert with his 17 points again. It's another game where Donovan Clingan struggles just a little bit with a superstar center on the other side. I think it still showed the gap that Donovan Clingan has when it comes to being just an absolute stud on the defensive side of the ball. He's still really good, but he has a little bit to learn. Rudy Gobert has been one of the best defensive centers for a minute now. And if you go back to his rookie year and guys having to learn, like they learn over time. Donovan Clingan's going to be just fine. I believe that. What he's doing right now in year 1 as a starter, year 2 in the league as a whole as a 7-footer, you could tell he's learning. That's good. Just had a couple of these nights where he's just got beat up. Now, speaking of Donovan Clingan and the Blazers, let's take a look at the Blazers side of things. Toumani Camara was 3 of 5 from the floor. He had just 9 points, a little off after a career-high 30 points a few nights ago. But when the team can't hold on to the basketball and you're turning the ball over so much and you can't get into a flow, it's going to be hard to have a good offensive night. Jeremy Grant had 10 points. Donovan Clingan, 8 points, 9 rebounds. He was 3 of 7 from the floor. He did have 2 blocked shots, though. Drew Holiday, 23 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, and those 6 turnovers we had mentioned. 11 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists from Denny Avdia. He has been their best player all year long. So when he has one of these absolute rare off games, it's definitely hard for the team to overcome those with everything else and then other people throwing the ball away. Lots of lazy turnovers last night. So if Denny's having a bad night and then everyone else can't find it, it's going to be a long night for Portland, and that's what it was against Minnesota. Blake Wesley had 4 points. Vit Krejci did have a pretty good performance, 17 points. He was 7 of 10 from the field, 3 of 6 from beyond the arc, 1 rebound, 1 assist, and just a single turnover. So on a night when everyone was struggling with the ball, I like the fact that he only turned it over once. 18 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists from Scoot Henderson, 5 points and 5 rebounds from Robert Williams III. So that's what happened down there in Minnesota, or over there in Minnesota. Just a rough night. The biggest lead of the night for Minnesota was 28. The biggest lead of the night for your Trailblazers was 0. The biggest scoring run for each team was when they went 12-0 runs. Each of them had a 12-0 run. So Portland did find a way to claw back in it there in the third quarter. It looked like they were going to make it close. So the quick run, and it was back to, a 12-point game. Okay, maybe you can figure something out here. It took like a 10-0 run to get here. Maybe we can keep it going, but you couldn't. The turnovers were just egregious and just kept rearing their ugly heads. And if you're the Blazers, you can't do that. You can't afford to have those nights. Now, you look at statistically where Portland sits, they average the most turnovers in the NBA. You got to figure that out. You got to find a way to curb that and make it ball security be a premium. I go back to what Tiago Splitter said months ago. Treat every possession like it's gold. That's what you got to do. If I had a gold bar in my hand, I'm holding it like a football running back, and I ain't fumbling. You got to take care of the ball. I've said many a time that if the window is open and you try to get the ball through and the window closes, that's one thing. Now, if the window was already closed and you just lazily threw the ball at the window, You can't be mad that it didn't go through the gap because there was none. It just hit the window that was already closed. That's happened too many times for your Portland Trailblazers. Of course, there was one turnover there on an inbounds where Dante DiVincenzo totally grabbed Tumani Kamara's arm and held him, and he couldn't get to the ball, and it resulted in a quick turnover and a fast break dunk for Julius Randle. So sometimes the turnovers aren't really your fault, but more often than not, they are. Portland needs to shore that up. You can't do that tonight against Utah because even without their main horses, their main guys, if you can't take care of the ball, you turn the ball over 26 times, you let a team get 43 points off turnovers, it's going to be a rough night. The good part about last night's poor performance is that you get to rinse your memory of it. You get to Men in Black, hit the little button. Will Smith's going to tell you what to remember. Yeah, you guys are really, really good at controlling the ball. You're one of the best. You're going to go out there. You're going to play your next game. You're not going to turn the ball over a lot. You just listen, walk away. That's what the Blazers need to do. Rinse it, start over. Last night didn't happen. Tonight, it's Utah. Final game before the All-Star break. And when you do get a nice break, next game's not going to be until Friday, and next Friday, a week, at home against the Denver Nuggets. Then you want to make sure you enter this break with a victory if you're Portland. Big one tonight, despite all the people not playing for Utah. This is Blazers Game Day. I'm your host, Chris Burkhardt. If you want to follow me on social, Chris J. Burkhardt is the name. You can also join the conversation with us here. Text line 88528 or go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, and join the chat there. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to head to the Coach's Corner here from head coach Tiago Splitter, all right here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio, 620. Welcome back into Blazers Game Day. Chris Burkhardt here with you. Time now to head to the Coach's Corner. Let's hear from Tiago Splitter following that loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Could get our rhythm. I think they did a tremendous job with their defense. We just turned over the ball too much. 25 turnovers for 43 points. That's can win a game like that. And then you add to that we shot 16 free throws. They shot 35. It's really tough to overturn that.
Julius Randle with 41 points. Was part of that some maybe defensive breakdowns, or was it just a night for him?
I mean, he shot, 14 for 24. He was aggressive. He gets to the free throw line. He was just, more physical than us on both ends. And again, good game by him.
You and I had talked about Vit Krejci, and you said he's more than just a shooter. He's all-around great basketball player. What did you think of his night off the bench?
Well, I think he was good tonight. Made some shots, was moving the ball, drove, kicked the ball. Scored 17, just one turnover. So those are the things that we're looking for. But that's not enough. One player doing the right things. We missed Danny, we missed Drew. Scoot, even though Scoot made shots, he still got 5 turnovers. So we got to get better. And we will. I think it was an off game for everyone, and we got to bounce back. We got another one tomorrow night. We got to be ready for that one. We got to regroup, see who's ready to play tomorrow, and go get that W.
You just somewhat mentioned it, but you guys have fared well on the second night of back-to-backs. Do you just have to have a short memory after this one, get back to work?
Yes. I think it's we got to go to Utah, do the job there, play better. I think tonight was off. Our main guys were off with the ball and making decisions, and we just got to get better. And that includes everyone. Put them in a better spot to make better decisions, and we're going to grow from this game.
And there you hear from head coach Tiago Splitter, and you heard it right there at the end. We got to put ourselves in better spots, learn to make better decisions, and grow from this game. They absolutely have to. You cannot afford to continue to go down this road where you're constantly turning the ball over at such a high clip, too. The Blazers' turnovers have been a bugaboo for them all year long. They are averaging more than 17 turnovers per game. Now, they had the stretch to start the year where things were looking good, and they were consistently below their average to the point they watched that turnover average drop by almost a whole turnover. But it is back up there. They average 17.3 turnovers right now. The second most turnovers in the league is Charlotte at 15.9. Utah at 15.8, Washington at 15.6, Golden State at 15.6, Brooklyn at 15.6. The thing is, Charlotte is a play-in team. Portland is playing like a play-in team. Golden State is a play-in team. Washington, Utah, and Brooklyn are all on the outside looking in. Now you get Houston and Detroit next in line. Those are two pretty good teams, but they have some offensive talent and enough to counteract those turnovers. Portland doesn't. But when you look at the fact that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 teams, 12 when you count the Blazers, who average more than 15 turnovers per game, but there's only one that averages 17 or more, and that's Portland. 17.3. Not a recipe for victory. You have got to take care of the basketball. Now, that game last night, as we mentioned, ends up tying their season high for turnovers in a game, tying them with the game back on December 7th against Memphis when they turned the ball over 26 times. Portland has turned the ball over 22 times or more, 5 times this season. And in those 5 games, they are 0-5. They have turned the ball over 20 times or more. I think the number is 16 times. And in those 16 games, they are 5-11. Point is, take care of the basketball. It is hard to win when you do not have a possession and you give the other team a possession. That is how a turnover works. A turnover is one of the worst things that can happen to an offensive possession because it means that you did not get a shot attempt. That's bad. That's bad. Maybe you got a rebound, so you got a second chance opportunity, but then you turn the ball over. That means you did not get your second chance opportunity. Anytime you give the ball to the other team, that gives them a chance to go score, and you do not get that same chance. That is why you have to take care of the basketball. And then you look at what happened against Minnesota when you get 43 points off those turnovers, then it's even more brutal. Now you could go to the flip side when the Blazers do a good job taking care of the ball. When they have 9 turnovers, that's the fewest they've had all year, they win. They had 10 turnovers against Orlando, they lost. They had 11 versus San Antonio, they won. 12 versus Dallas, they lost. 13 each against Denver, New Orleans, Cleveland, and Houston, won all those games. 14 turnovers against Utah, won. 14 turnovers against Houston in another game, won. Don't turn the ball over. It's just absolutely crucial to this team because not only does it just, again, it prevents them from getting a shot, but it just hurts their flow because they got to be constantly moving. If you kill this team's ability to get any sense of a routine or just any, okay, now we're NBA Jam. He's heating up. He's on fire. If the Blazers do not get that constant motion and get in a groove, you're going to hurt. And when you turn the ball over, it stops you every time. You got to start over every single time. It kills you. Those 26 turnovers against Minnesota absolutely doomed them. Hopefully, they can bounce back tonight in Utah against a Utah Jazz team that has had their ups and downs, mainly their downs. They are definitely in rebuild mode and tank mode now. Maybe that could go to the Blazers' benefit tonight as they take them on final game before the All-Star break. We're going to take a quick break here on Blazers Game Day. When we come back, we're going to talk about that Utah team. I want to talk about their last game, an impressive victory over the worst team in the Western Conference, the Sacramento Kings, but we'll talk about it. And look at what happened the last time these two teams have met. This is tonight will be game 3 of 4 on the season. Portland has already met them 2 times with 2 victories. Can they lean on those tonight? We'll let you know when we return here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio, 620. Welcome back into Blazers Game Day. Chris Burkhardt here with you. If you'd like to join the conversation, Chris J. Burkhardt is the name on social. You can hit us up on the text line 88528 or go to youtube.com. Type in Rip City Radio. And one of our texters says, if you want to reduce turnovers, there is one obvious, or should I say advious, place to start. Dump Denny. He commits ton of turnovers. Well, that is a take. That is certainly a take. I don't think dumping Denny Avdia is the pure solution to your team's turnovers. I mean, 3 different players had 5 of them, and they weren't all Denny's fault. Denny has been great this year. Denny has turned the ball over. Yes, that's factual. Wanting to get rid of Denny because of that turnover number right now, I don't think is it. We're talking about a guy who's making an all-star game. Deservedly so. And hopefully, as he continues to grow with this team and this team gets better around him, he can knock those turnover numbers down. You would hope. But I'm not sitting here looking at a guy who has just made an all-star game, who has arguably the best contract in the NBA right now, and going, yeah, just get rid of him. Don't like him. You know that Denny Avdia on the season, he only has a handful of turnovers more than Jaylen Brown or Cade Cunningham. Are you going to argue that Cade Cunningham or Jaylen Brown are awful and that you should get rid of them? Jaylen Brown has 176 turnovers on the season. Denny has 178. 2 more turnovers from Denny, and Jaylen Brown is also an absolute stud. Cade Cunningham's a stud. Kevin Durant's a baller. He has 161 turnovers to Denny's 178. You know who leads the league right now? Luka Doncic, 179, and he's played 4 fewer games than Denny. Yes, Denny turns the ball over. You look at the total turnover numbers in the top 10, all guys who hold the ball a lot and are tasked with moving it a lot. Keontae George, who will not be playing tonight for Utah. Donovan Mitchell in Cleveland. Kevin Durant. Jalen Johnson, who has been tasked with doing a lot more in Atlanta this year. James Harden, Cade Cunningham, Jaylen Brown, Russell Westbrook, especially since, there's like not a single guard in Sacramento. Oh, yeah, we're just going to play him. Denny and Luka. So while logically, yes, get rid of the guy who turns the ball over, you would maybe knock down your turnovers. But does that make you a better team? I don't think so. Thanks for the input, though. I'm just not anti-Denny like that. He's been way too good this year. Guy's won you more games than he's lost because of his turnovers. And again, you look at that last game, it wasn't just him. Drew Holiday had 6. Scoot Henderson had 5. There's a team issue there. He's got to stop being lazy with the ball. You got to work some things out. And hopefully he can do that as he continues to grow with this team. I wouldn't walk away from that just yet. Now, you can't walk away from playing the Utah Jazz either. You got to get through. You got to get down to Salt Lake City. You got to get to Delta Center. You got to have yourself a good game against this Utah Jazz team that is coming off a 121-93 victory over the Sacramento Kings. That was a tank off. Which team could tank harder? Lauri Markkanen played 21 minutes. Jaren Jackson played 22. Isaiah Collier, 27. Yusuf Nurkic, 26. It was the no one's going to play more than 30, except Ace Bailey, the young guy. We're going to go through our starters, sub them out, and we'll see what can happen. But Utah was still too good. Still beat up on Sacramento. 19 points from Lauri Markkanen, 23 points from Jaren Jackson Jr. Lauri Markkanen. There's an extra syllable in there. Well, guess what? Tonight, there will be no Lauri Markkanen. There will be no Jaren Jackson Jr. There will be no Keontae George. Like they're going in bare bones tonight. Now, the Portland Trailblazers need to take advantage. Scoot Henderson will play tonight, was not listed on the injury report. That's a plus. We all thought he was going to be because of the nature of the second night of a back-to-back. So that was a little surprising. Denny Avdia, Robert Williams listed as questionable. Then the usual suspects, Matisse Thybulle, Chris Murray, who's been out for a little bit, Damian Lillard, those guys listed as out, as well as Shaden Sharp, who's now dealing with a calf strain. But Scoot's playing. And so you'd hope the Blazers can take advantage of this at fairly full strength or close to it, a lot more so than the Utah Jazz. And you go back October 29th, first meetup with Utah this year. That was one of those weird games where it felt like Portland was going to try to throw it away. Got out to a big lead, and then they were outscored by Utah 36-19 in the fourth quarter, but they held on to win 136-134. In that game, Portland had 18 turnovers, which is more than their season average right now. Points off turnovers was pretty equal, 29-27 in favor of Utah. But Lauri Markkanen went off. He had 32 points in that game. Walker Kessler had 18. He has since missed most of the year with an injury. Ace Bailey had just 8 points. There was no Jaren Jackson Jr. Keontae George chipped in 29. So in that game, two of the players who won't be playing tonight combined for 61 points. Well, when you don't have that, that's going to change how you approach it. In that game for the Blazers, Shaden Sharp had 18 points. He will be out tonight. But Drew Holiday dropped 27. Denny dropped 19. 2 dropped 17. Donovan Clingan had a rough night, but everyone else around him got pretty hot. Now you go to their second matchup, January 5th. So that was how the Blazers started 2026 off hot, right? 137-117 victory for your Portland Trailblazers. The biggest lead of the night for Utah was early in the game when they led 4-0. They led for just 2 minutes of the entire game. For 45 minutes and 16 seconds, your Portland Trailblazers had the lead. The biggest lead of the night was a 103-71 lead, 32-pointer. Lauri Markkanen had 22 points in that game. Keontae George had 15. So they combined for another 37. Those are two guys right there that combined are averaging over 40 points against you who won't be in the lineup tonight. That's big. No Jaren Jackson. That's big. So you take advantage of this team that's fully gone into tank mode and see what you can get. Blazers had balance in that matchup. Toumani Camara, 15 points. Chris Murray was in that game. He had 10 points. Donovan Clingan, 12 points, 17 rebounds, 33 points, 9 assists, 8 rebounds from Denny Avdia, and just 2 turnovers in that one. 29 points from Shaden Sharp. Granted, he won't be playing tonight. Caleb Love had 14. Sidy Cissoko had 14. And that was a game where there was no Drew Holiday and no Jeremy Grant, who will be available tonight. So hopefully the Blazers can continue to do what they've done against Utah, because through 2 games against the Utah Jazz, the Blazers are averaging 136.5 points. That's pretty good. That will usually put you in a spot to win. In that second game, the one they won big, the Blazers had 14 turnovers. And we talked about that earlier in the show. What happens when the Blazers' turnover number is far below their average? Those things will happen. Text from Mary in Southeast says, "Hi, Chris. Just tuned in. Sorry. Without disrupting the current conversation, can you please tell me the situation with Caleb Love and Sidy Cissoko?" Yes, Mary, I can. I hope you are still listening right now. But they are obviously on 2-way deals, meaning they can only be active for 50 games, with the big team being the Portland Trailblazers. Right now, Sidy Cissoko has played 49 games. He has 1 game left. If he's active tonight, that's it. Caleb Love has played 44 games. So he has 6 games left before you have to decide what you want to do with him. Now, Mary, just because they hit 50 does not mean that it's sign them or they're done with your franchise. So the 2-way deal means they are under Portland control for the rest of the season. but they can only play those 50 games with the Trailblazers. Now, if the Trailblazers do not sign them in the next week, that is fine. But any player who is on a two-way deal, whether they have played those 50 games or they've only played one, must be signed to the main roster to be playoff eligible. So if the Blazers get into the play-in and really think they need City Sissoko or Caleb Love and they are not signed yet, they need to make that happen. The last day to sign a player is April 12th, the last day of the regular season. So that's where they sit. That's why you've started to see Caleb Love be inactive for games so that they can save him down the stretch. And I think because everyone's healthy, if you would have asked us a month ago, it was like, oh, yeah, you got to sign him. You got to sign him. But now you got Blake Wesley back. You got Scoot Henderson back. Both felt like they came. Well, Scoot took forever, but Blake came back a little bit earlier than we thought. I thought he was going to come back probably the first week post All-Star break. And then Scoot got promoted out of nowhere. You got Jeremy and Drew who are dealing with stuff. So now it's not as important to sign them. I still think they try to find a way to get one of them. Probably City Sissoko because of the versatility he offers on the defensive side of the ball as well. But that's where they sit right now, Mary. Thank you very much for that question. 6 games left for Caleb, 1 game left for City. And then once they hit that 50 mark, you got to make sure they're signed by the end of the year if you want them to be eligible for the playoffs. All right, this is Blazers Game Day. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it's time for our keys to the game. What exactly do the Blazers need to do to beat the Utah Jazz? I'll give you a hint. Don't turn over the ball. That's definitely going to be one of them. What will the other keys be? We'll let you know when we return here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio, 620. Welcome back into Blazers Game Day. Time now for our keys to the game. What do the Blazers need to do to get a victory over the Utah Jazz? Well, we can look back at two previous games against Utah in which the Blazers offense was red hot and rolling. They scored 136 in the first match, up 137 in the second. And one thing they did very well in both of those games was shoot the three ball. They shot the ball 39% from beyond the arc in that second game and 38% from beyond the arc in that first game. That is a big night from beyond the arc for a team like the Portland Trailblazers, who come into this game dead last in the league in three-point percentage at 34.1%. So there's one key. Make sure those three-point shots are falling. Of course, we have that stat like, when the Blazers shoot above whatever the percentage, they're undefeated, blah, blah, blah. I get that. It's one of those, when you shoot well from three, things are good. But this team has been so bad from beyond the arc and inconsistent from beyond the arc that you can look at this Utah Jazz team and maybe it's something about the way they guard the Blazers or just how the Blazers feel when they play them. They shoot well when they do play the Utah Jazz. So that three-point arc can make you, it can break you. Hopefully it can make the Blazers tonight. Also, I look at the Utah Jazz, just like the Portland Trailblazers, they turn the ball over a lot. Now, no Jaren Jackson Jr., no Lauri Markkanen, no George. I mean, you're losing your stars. This team's going to be feisty because that's what happens when you play all the guys that, you're the guys you don't have film on. You shouldn't lose to the G League team. Now, they're feisty. They're going to come out to play. So you got to control the ball, and I believe on the flip side of that, put more pressure than you're used to even on them defensively because Utah comes into this game third in the league for most turnovers, 15.8. And you're coming into this game healthy. So Tumani Kamara, Scoot Henderson, Drew Holiday, all those guys need to put pressure on the Utah Jazz ball handlers, force turnovers. And for the Blazers, you just slow it down a little bit. Don't let those guys get to you. I would suspect you come out on top in the turnover category. You do that, you're going to put yourself in a good spot to win. And last but not least for my keys too, go in hard on the glass. Get the rebounds flowing. You don't have Lauri Markkanen, who's a big guy. You don't have Walker Kessler, who's been out for a lot of the year. And you don't have Jaren Jackson Jr., who we all know destroys on the glass. Take advantage. Music means it's time to go for me, not for you. You keep it locked in because coming up next, Chad Doing has the Trailblazers pregame show across the Trailblazers audio network. And then he'll pass the mic off to Travis Demers. Tip-off is 6 o'clock. Blazers versus Jazz here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio. And, of course, when it's all said and done, keep it locked in for the fifth quarter where hopefully we're breaking down a Trailblazers victory. Rip City, I'll talk to you after the game.